Salute BookTube. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel, whatever the case may be. If you are a regular on my channel, you know that in September I've decided to participate in two events at the same time. Try to kill one, what's the saying? Kill two birds with one stone. That's it. Two birds with one stone. Shorty September and Shaketember. Shorty September dedicated to short stories. And then Shaketember dedicated to Shakespeare in September. So what I decided to do, I have these books. I've had them for a while. I picked them up really cheap. They're very, very odd, not very attractive covers of Shakespeare. They're called the Popular Penguin Classics. I showed them in my TBR, my September TBR video. So again, I'm showing them here. I have four of them, and I thought I'd read them for Shorty September and for Shaketember. So then the question became which ones to read, or which one to read first. I have four of them, and I just randomly I look at their sizes. Again, I have As You Like It. I have Othello. I have A Midsummer Night's Dream. But I decided, just because it looked like it was the smallest one, the Tempest. That's what I read first. So I thought I would read one each week in the month of September. Although I already missed the first week because I'm a bit behind. But if this goes into October, not a big deal. And these are small. These Shakespeare plays are small, so you can read them really quickly. So maybe on 1 week I'll make two. We'll see how it goes. But again, these covers, it comes here. It says, I don't know if it'll show in the glare. It says 100%, or not the glare, but the focus contains 100% recycled paper. So reading these weren't. Also, the notes are terrible. The footnotes. It's not even footnotes. There's endnotes, and the endnotes aren't even numbered. It's just numbered by page and line, and it's not in the text. There's no mark to say, see, it's. So I just ignored the footnotes. I just read this through. It has a glossary. There's an introduction about William Shakespeare, an introduction about the Elizabethan theater, and then a short introduction on the play itself. But other than that, it's very basic. So not the best reading experience, but as a story, The Tempest was good fun. I enjoyed this very much. Very, very nice, very interesting play, very entertaining, and surprised me. I thought this would be serious. So I think from his plays, Shakespeare, you can divide them, I guess, into three, or maybe two even grander categories: tragedies and comedies. The third one could be histories, but the histories usually fall under tragedy. Shakespeare, most of his histories were tragic histories. This one I thought would go into tragedy just from the title and what I had heard about it. But then when you read it, it's not really. It's a comedy, tragedy, and then in the introduction and just looking at the internet, they call it a tragic comedy. That's the word for it. It's got its comedic parts. It's not completely what you would say full tragedy or full comedy. There's actually more comedy. It starts a bit sad because it's about a tempest. It's about a ship that gets caught up in a storm and gets shipwrecked. But then the characters involved adds a very big comedic flair. And then the tragic comedy, another one of the characteristics of the tragic comedy is that it ends well. It ends usually on a positive note. There's not any. Well, I don't want to ruin the ending, but I guess it's known, but it ends. There's no sad ending. It's not a tragic ending. It's a happy ending. So again, that surprised me about this book. But then a bunch of things surprised me about this book also. The main character has almost supernatural magical powers. It's very I don't know if science or fantasy is fantastical might be the word, because there's magic in it. It's very imaginative, not. It has realistic. What's the word I'm looking for? It has realistic themes, but the storyline is very fantastical. A lot of spirits, and a lot of yes, magical spirits make appearances as characters in this book. So that's one big surprise. Another big surprise is that when you look at the list of the actors or the list of the characters, it's almost exclusively male, except for one character who's a female, who is Miranda, who is the son of the main protagonist of the story. So that was another big surprise. But then it shouldn't be too much of a surprise, because this book is based on a story set in on a ship that gets wrecked, and in those times, this is early 17th century. Shipping was mostly male, although that's not true. Actually, I shouldn't say that. A lot of females crossed the Atlantic early in history, but mostly ships were mostly all male crew. So it shouldn't be a surprise. But what I have to do now is to put this in a bit of historical context. This Tempest, as it was mentioned in the introduction, as I had known, I knew this. Last month I read a few books about American colonization and early American colonization, about the Mayflower and about Jamestown, and this came up, that the Shakespeare's Tempest was inspired by a shipwreck that happened off the coast of Bermuda, very close to the east coast of the United States, what became the United States, in the early 17th century, while Shakespeare was alive. The ship was going to relieve Jamestown colony in Virginia, and it blew off course, and the ship was wrecked. It was almost going to sink, but the crew managed to get it to land in Bermuda, the island of Bermuda, and that was an inspiration for this story. Although that's where the historical parallels end, because although the word Bermuda is mentioned here, Shakespeare uses it in the text. We're made to believe that this is an island that lies between Italy and Tunisia in the Mediterranean, that gets shipwrecked, and the story revolves around the characters who survived the shipwreck on this island. And that's what makes this book really interesting, because Shakespeare, what he does is he divides the characters on the island into three separate groups. One of them is a group of the bad guys, and then there's the protagonist and his daughter Miranda, who are the heroes of the story. And then there's a third group who is the comedic, who make up the servants, and also, as we'll see, a native. Although, again, Shakespeare, apparently this was set on an island in the Mediterranean. There's no doubt in my mind that Shakespeare was thinking about the New World when he wrote this, and the themes in here, which I like to focus more, that's what caught my attention most about this. Again, I'm a big history reader. I just like history. So I always link any work of fiction back to history, and that the inspiration for the Tempest of that shipwreck off the coast of Bermuda, plus some of the characters here, makes you quickly makes it certain that Shakespeare was writing about the New World and the possibilities of the New World. Although he didn't make it to see the New World, or the New World, America, or the Western Hemisphere, he didn't live long enough to see it really grow as a colony. I guess Shakespeare would have died while what became America was still a very early early stages of American colonialism. But you can tell, I think, what I saw in the story was that this was very much about the New World. There are hints. The opening was really good for this story because one of the characters that are on the ship is the king, Alonso, and his brother and his courtiers. They're all on the ship. So the elite are there. The king of Naples is on the ship. But also on the ship are the boatswain and the servants and the mariners and the. Now, when the ship wrecks, it doesn't matter if you're the king or you're the lowly butler or the lowly servant or the lowly slave. You're all the same. You all have to pull the rigs together. You all have to set the sails together. King or pawn, you're gonna go down in the sea if you don't help out. So that egalitarian notion early in this book, and then again that the idea of, I don't know if Shakespeare was this prescient, but the idea that in America you could have equality, which didn't exist in the old world, in old Europe. That was one aspect that again reflects the let's say New World or American theme in this book. Another interesting part was, it's not interesting, it's actually controversial. Shakespeare puts a native character. So the ship gets wrecked, and it has all the mostly nobility on board. It gets wrecked. Once they reach the island, they meet a local native, and this local native is made to look, it was said to be, what was the word they used? A savage and deformed slave. The character's name is Caliban. And I mean, Caliban, you can, a lot of postulation, it's quite clear that Caliban was a native indigenous, what the early colonialists called the Indians. That's very clear there. And again, he's made as a character of mockery, a character of to be laughed at. He is again in the actor's name or the character's name, he is called a savage and deformed slave. So again, that is there. That prejudice is there. So that's again another tip to the hat of this being very much about a new world that I'm sure had sparked Shakespeare's interest. There's no way Shakespeare, the genius that was Shakespeare, was not fascinated by this discovery, so-called discovery of this new land. So that was there. Also, the island that they land on is described as an island of fair weather, of rich land. So again, another nod to the American idea. And then there was a line by the counselor. Again, it's hard. I don't want to go through every character and describe what he says, but he has the lines, and I should have marked it. Maybe I could have read it here, but basically, what the character, what he signifies by his lines, is that this new land could be an opportunity to start fresh, to start a new utopia. Again, harking to this new land with potential for a new start, different from the old world. So those were the themes again in this book. I could have been more prepared for this. I know I could have read from some passages. I could have maybe explained better. I could have. I checked the Wikipedia of this after I finished reading it, because again, the notes in this terrible copy is so unhelpful. I could have maybe done that better, but again, very, very good Shakespeare. Highly enjoyed this. Very quick read. Read it very quickly, but enjoyed it. Wished it was longer. Thinking about reading it again. I might just do it and read it again. maybe make a better video than this one, who knows. But again, I highly recommend this book. Again, a lot of themes, even in a very short story. I prefer to focus on that American aspect of this new world discovery that inspired the Tempest. And as one of the commenters who mentioned in my TBR video comments, this story was written close to the end of Shakespeare's age. Shakespeare knew he was getting older, or he was aging, and the end was getting near when he wrote this story, one of his last published works. And I think he was hearing about America, and he was fascinated, but he knew that he wouldn't play a part in it. And so I guess he's tried to immortalize a few ideas in this story as much as he could. So yeah, again, very interesting. I look forward to reading the next couple ones. I don't know which one I'll pick. I have Othello, I have A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I have As You Like It, but it's fallen, and I don't want to go off camera. But I'll choose one. I'll keep it as a surprise, and you can watch it hopefully next weekend. Maybe I'll make another video. Until then, BookTube, salute.